because so my light source right now is coming from the left, from this direction. But I should get another light. I'm gonna buy one from like IKEA or like secondhand store, and it'll come from this direction, and that'll eliminate the shadows. But if you actually want a better look at this miniature, you can go to my my Instagram hobby account, and that's Rayo Hobby, REYOHOBBY. All right. So let's get back to painting this guy. I think that it's better now, hopefully. The previous times I've streamed like painting or drawing, I've used Twitch's app on iPad. And for some reason the resolution is like super low. Really, it's really not usable in my opinion, and there's no option to disable the autofocus or anything, so I was like, I gotta find another solution if I want to do this, or I'll have to buy like a whole new thing, buy a bunch of stuff to upgrade. But yeah, I knew that it should be possible because I've taken footage using just my iPad and just uploaded it to Instagram or wherever, and it looks fine. So it's not an issue of the hardware, the camera on the iPad itself. It's something with the app. So I had to look into a different app, and this is OBS. So I've been using that. I was debating whether I should paint some Warhammer figures today, or if I should play some Bloodborne. But I was like, you know what? Let's just do this. I set up all this stuff. I got ready like all my miniatures that I want to paint. I've got a couple of other ones that I'd like to work on too. So let's do it. Maybe we'll do Bloodborne PvP tomorrow. By the way, Copper, I know that you've been playing Hades. How have you been going on with Hades? Have you reached the final boss? I'm not even sure if I reached the final boss. I reached what I believe to be the final boss. Doing a really sloppy job. I need to be a little more careful not to get paint on the white parts of the helmet. Copper, it's a fun game. You've gotten to Elysium. I only have about 5 hours of gameplay in. Oh, okay, so still fairly early on. Yeah, it's a fun game. I like it too. I like the fact that in Hades I can play like 1 or 2, possibly 3 escape attempts, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do something else. If I had that game on Switch, I'd probably have it always on just to fire up and do like a half-hour run or something, and then just turn it off and then turn it on back again. Yeah, it's a good game. I'm close to defeating the final boss, I think. Gonna give that a shot sometime next week. So yeah, you can see right now that like it's really thin, the paint that I'm putting on. You can see that the white undercoat is coming through. And the plan is to do 2 or 3 more coats of paint. And then the color will be solid. But if I was feeling like super lazy, I could leave it like this. And you can see how the recesses are darker than the flat upper surfaces. So it's already creating some shading, right? If I was feeling really lazy, I could just leave it like that and move on to other parts, but we'll make a solid coat and we'll move on from there. Yeah, and just as a reminder, I'll check on the messages, but yeah, sometimes when I'm painting, I kind of just zone off and I don't check. Bacon, very good game to just pick up and play. Copper, I like it compared to other Switch games like Animal Crossing and Zelda because I don't feel like I need to constantly be playing it. Oh, that's a good point. How many figures do you have? Do you have to be painted? A lot. Hold on. Bacon, so the second coat of paint will be a little thicker. Okay, so to Copper's question, we'll get on to both. How many of these figures? So you see, yeah, so just these ones. I'm just working on these ones for this particular unit of Eldar Guardians. And there's a few other ones that are almost, that I've kind of done a bit more work on. And then this guy's like mostly complete. This guy here. So yeah, so let's see, that's 6, 9, 12, 15, so 17. I feel like there should be another one. I feel like I'm missing one. But yeah, these are the ones that I'm working on for this particular project, but I'm a little, I don't know, like I like to paint multiple things at the same time. I don't like to just paint one figure. So I'm actually also working on this. This is an old hammer miniature called Lilith Hersperex. She's like a dark Eldar. Let's see if I can get this a little closer. She's a dark Eldar, and this model is actually metal. If you can kind of hear, it's like metal sounding. Yeah, this is a pretty old model too, and it's been really tough to work on in some regards, but we'll get onto that a little later. But yeah, I have a huge backlog of miniatures that I need to paint, because like I said, I collected these things as a kid, and I have so many of them that I haven't painted at all. There's just so much, and during the cold months, the wintry months, I like to get back into the painting hobby. It's just kind of like a relaxing, cozy thing to do. So to Bacon's question, the second coat will be thicker. No, the second coat will actually be just about the same consistency as the first, but because you're applying, the same color, it sort of becomes more solid. So the first layer dries and it's thin, but you apply a second layer, and while it's still the same consistency, it sort of becomes more solid than it was before. And the reason why you want to paint with thin, like with a thinner consistency of paint, like you want to always water down your paints, like that's something that they always say. Like if you watch a painting tutorial video, they'll always say like too thin coats. The reason why you want to do that is because if you apply a single coat, right, and the paint is really thick, suddenly you're going to start seeing the brush strokes. You're going to start seeing like the actual thickness of the paint in every brush stroke, and you'll be unintentionally creating texture on your models that shouldn't be there, right? So that's why they say too thin coats. Okay, so that's all of these guys. Oh, no, wrong. There's another one. I thought I was done. And sometimes I do like three coats. And as you can see, it takes time, but you know, it's you're supposed to kind of like take your time with this. It's, you know, it's like a hobby. So actually, you know what? If I had an airbrush, that would speed up the process by, I don't know, like 100%. I'd just spray these guys, and you could just get away with like one or two passes with the airbrush, and then you'd be done. But the airbrush, um, it's really loud. I don't have one, so it would be really loud. And I think that would be a problem, just like how loud it is. Copper, what type of paint and glaze is this? It is acrylic, actually. Yeah, it's acrylic. Although it is acrylic that's specially formulated for painting miniatures. The brand is Citadel Paint. It's from the same manufacturers as the miniatures themselves, although many other companies make miniature paint. So so this paint is acrylic, but there's like a high pigment value. Is that the right term? It's highly pigmented. So if you were to use it like straight out the bottle and not thin it out, it would look very, very strong and solid. Okay. So that is all of these guys. Actually, there's guys and girls. Some of them are women, female Eldar models. So the other thing I need to do are these guns, like the hands. You can, if you notice, these guardians don't have arms. You just glue the arms just like this. Ta-da! And now they have arms, holding their guns. They're shuriken catapults. That's the name of their weapon, according to the lore. I'm wondering if I should do this now. Let's do it now. Let's paint their arms. Look at all this. Copper, that makes sense. Whenever I've used regular acrylic on plastic and metal, it's peeled straight off. Oh, well, another good tip if you're painting on metal or plastic is that you should undercoat your surface, whether it be metal or plastic, with a primer. And you can buy primer practically anywhere. If you go to an art store, they can sell like a gigantic bottle of primer. I have this one, and it's lasted me for like many, many years. This one right here, Liquitex Acrylic Gesso, and this is something that you would put on your canvas if you're painting. If you're painting on wood or a stretched canvas. That's what you would put first before you apply acrylic paint or oil paint. But I've actually used that very same stuff, the gesso, for miniatures, and it works actually really well because sometimes it's a lot more convenient to do that rather than to go outside and spray paint. Blah, getting tongue tied. Spray paint primer, and that's what a lot of hobbyists, painters use for painting miniatures. They use a spray primer, either white or black, and you just spray your figures with that, and the paint will adhere much better to the surface. because yeah, if you don't, you'll definitely get it'll definitely peel off. And the texture of a spray paint, like a spray paint primer or even gesso, it can be like it slightly creates like, I don't know, like a rough surface. No, that's not the right term. It's not really rough. The primer here, you can't really tell, but it's quite smooth actually to look at it. But I think like on a microscopic level, it's probably a little rougher than the paint itself, and that's why the paint can adhere to it, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. Let's just paint this tube thing, the whole thing. Tommy Dragon Tame, what's up? How's it going, Tommy? Oh, sorry, Tony, my bad. How's it going? How's it going? Are you a fan of Warhammer? Are you a painter of miniatures? What army do you paint? I would like to know. I myself am something of a lapsed fan of Warhammer and 40K and fantasy. I kind of go in and out the hobby for like months or years at a time. But I'm back in. It's time for me to paint these miniatures that I bought a long ass time ago. So that's why I'm doing this on stream. Normally I stream. Normally I stream games, but it was always the intent to paint and draw on stream as well. So in 2022. That's kind of like one of my plans, my resolution or whatever, is to do more art streams, painting streams, in addition to the gaming. Tony, just call me Tony. All of them, damn. I was before I joined your stream. Wow, so you paint like all figures? You collect them all? That's cool. What are you currently painting? And one thing I'd like to do next time is try and get some music playing while I paint. I haven't actually tried that out. I don't really know how I'd be able to do that using my iPad, but I can test it out. If anything, I can just have it pumping through my second screen, and then like the mic will pick up the audio, just so that you guys aren't just listening to my voice. I'd like to test that out. I'm still very new to Twitch in general, for that matter, but yeah, I'm still new to painting and drawing live on stream, so especially using just an iPad, really. So Death Guard. Oh, you got those Death Guard? Those look cool. Yeah. I saw some of that. There's some really nice models out now. I'm not sure if it was the Death Guard or if I'm thinking of something else. They look like normal Space Marines, but they have more of like a knight, like a crusader. Are they called crusaders? I don't know. They have more of like a knight-like appearance. Really cool. Copper blasting Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas" while painting Eldar. Oh my gosh, Mariah. Oh man, I think it was 2 years ago. Mariah Carey was at the New Year's celebration in New York City, and the lip syncing for the concert was off from her own singing, and it just was awful. I'm sure it's on YouTube if you search like Mariah Carey New Year's Eve. Tony, do I have a Discord? I don't have a Discord. Is that something I should look into? What are the benefits of having a Discord? Please let me know. Like I said, this whole this whole thing, this whole streaming thing. I feel like I'm super new to it, so yeah, is that a good thing to have? I have no idea. What are the benefits of such a thing? I know that Bacon has a Discord. Tony, but you're painting your own version, so you're not looking at the box. I see. Cool. What's the color scheme for your own personalized version? I have a lot of respect for people that do that. In fact, some of my armies in the past, I've gone with a custom color scheme, but sometimes I like just doing what like what the box says, because I'm lazy. Sometimes it's nice just having Games Workshop think for me, and I'll just look at like the various color schemes that they come up with or whatever, and I'll just go with that. Black and gold, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm working on a Age of Sigmar Seraphon army as well, and they're like a custom scheme that I sort of looked up. I looked up real lizards and found a bunch of cool looking tropical frogs and well, I guess a frog isn't a lizard. Lizards and amphibians. I looked up a bunch of cool ones and kind of based off my Seraphon army off of some of those, and also what did they call it? Like the people that make illustrations for dinosaurs. Like when a new dinosaur is discovered, they make illustrations for them, scientific ones. I kind of based off of my Seraphon or Lizardman, if you want to call it that, if you're like super old school like me. Bacon, Discord is kind of like a personalized message board. You can use it for voice chat and stream things for people in the group. Does it cost anything to make a Discord? It's interesting. It seems like a lot of communities have kind of moved on from message boards to Discord. And for Tony, do you have a Discord, or is there a Discord that I should maybe think about joining or looking into? That's something I'd like to know about as well. It's completely free. Well, 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 well. Now you're talking my language. If it's free, then let's have a party. I guess I kind of always knew it was free, seeing as, yeah, I've in all the time that I've ever heard about it, I've never really picked up anything about it being a paid service, so that's pretty sweet. Yep, running out of paint here. Got to get more paint. A lot of blue. So with this army, these Eldar guys, it's a little hard to tell, but the plan was to give these guys like a camo pattern on their armor, but it's not rare. It's not very pronounced, to be honest. So I'm thinking about just abandoning the camo pattern idea. Also, the thought of painting camouflage on 16, what is it, 16, 18 miniatures is completely putting me off. So I might not bother. Copper, you can purchase Nitro, where you get benefits like animated emojis, but Nitro honestly isn't worth it. All right. Well, yeah, I'll look into that. Like I said, I'm still fairly new to all of this stuff, and I wonder if it's worth getting a Discord when like I have like a small handful of followers. Like it'll just be you guys. It'd possibly just be you guys in the Discord. I don't know if that's like actually useful or not. I have no idea. Do you like your Discord, Bacon? I know Bacon has a Discord. Do you think it? Would you say it's useful? So many internet things. I basically get on right at the tail end when it's completely irrelevant. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, there was this thing, and it predates Facebook and Instagram and even MySpace. If you guys remember MySpace, it was called Asian Avenue, and I joined that practically when it was dead. I have no idea why, but I was like, okay, let's get on this thing. And I reconnected with a bunch of like grade school friends on it, I guess. And everyone that I connected with on it, they were just like, "Whoa, I haven't used this thing in years. It's dead." And even when it comes to like MySpace, I felt like I joined MySpace when it was practically dead. And I would say that like with Facebook, I was kind of like on the ground floor. I was one of the uh, like yeah, I got in on Facebook at a time when it was like really blowing up, and then I pretty much got out of it. I still have it, but I don't really use it necessarily. Yeah, I got out of that. And obviously, streaming on Twitch is a huge thing, and I'm just kind of getting in on it now. But I actually have some college buddies, art school college buddies that got into. Sorry, I just realized that I'm not painting in the targeting at my spot here, where you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Another rookie mistake. Let's check the messages. Bacon or just set one up for friends. It's pretty handy, to be honest. I wasn't the one who set it up. I remember that. Oh, you remember Asian Avenue? Copper, RIP MySpace. Man, there was this time when MySpace was kind of transitioning more into like this music service instead of like a social networking service. And they had this obnoxious layout, a very garish user interface for MySpace, where it's just colors, and people could like add like animated backgrounds. So like you'd go to a band and there'd be like all this busy bee bullshit all over the screen. It was so bad. I definitely deleted my MySpace. I'm pretty sure. LiveJournal. Did I have a LiveJournal account? I don't think I had a LiveJournal account. What was that? Tumblr. Tumblr. Is Tumblr a thing still? I don't know. I have no idea about Tumblr, but yeah, that was a thing for a good while. BRB, you gotta shovel some snow. Have to get it done before the family arrives. All right, Bacon. Catch you later. And then once again, happy birthday. Eat lots of food. Enjoy yourself. Copper, I feel like MySpace and DeviantArt are some of the remnants of the internet past. You have a Tumblr, and it's really popular still. Really? Wow. Cool. DeviantArt. Yeah. DeviantArt is still around. Again, that's something that I felt like I joined like several years later, and I just was like, I don't understand what's happening. Tumblr is still popular. That's interesting. Is it good for sharing art and stuff? I feel like Twitter isn't that great for sharing art. Instagram is a pretty popular one, but it's not like that great in terms of sharing the art. Okay, so all of these arms are finished. So let's just set them aside. All of these arms. And we'll get on to putting the second coat of paint on these guardian dudes. Look at all these arms. Yeah, so I would really like to get on with, let's take a little break right now and discuss this model. This here is the first version of Lilith Hesperex. That's a Dark Eldar model. So these guys, these are Eldar, right? They're kind of like space elves, to put it in the most basic of terms. But much like D&D, there's Dark Elves, there are Dark Eldar. And this is a named character from the Dark Eldar. Her name is Lilith Hesperex. And this is a very old model. It's metal. It's old hammer, as some people call it. And this model, throughout second coat time, throughout time, I've just ended up missing some of the parts. I was missing like her leg here. Let's use this as a pointer. I was missing her leg, this leg here, and this arm. Sorry, no, not that arm. There's something here that goes here. That's like a large spiky shoulder blade thing. And I have no, well, I kind of have an idea where this thing might be, but definitely her foot is long gone. So what I ended up doing was taking, do I have it? A generic Dark Eldar model, like a generic plastic Dark Eldar model, essentially the evil equivalent of these guys, because these are basic troops. So I took a basic troop of the Dark Eldar and cut off that guy's foot and put it on her and kind of resculpted it a bit. And I think it turned out pretty well. This is generally what the pose is supposed to look like. Second coat time. Yep. Just gonna take a little break from it, from the painting. And this arm, this is not the pose, like her standard normal pose. This arm actually kind of comes out like this, like kind of jutting out forward. And it was just a really, I don't know, it seemed like a really boring pose to me. So I actually changed the pose so that, yeah, it's like this now. And I feel like it kind of somehow flows a little bit better, and you can kind of see like the model a lot more. It would be kind of obscured if her arm was coming out forward. But to do that, I had to repose this, and then I took some sculpting stuff, green stuff they call it, 2-part epoxy. Is that what it is? And I resculpted like the muscle, and I can kind of tell the parts that I resculpted here, but generally I think it looks okay. It's not 100% seamless, but I'm pretty happy with it overall, the little tweaks that I did. And the other thing, anime magic girl pose? Yeah, pretty much. The other thing that I had to do with this model is that her sword is really weird. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a master at blades and knives and I know everything that there is to know about about swords and stuff. But I've watched my fair share of Forged in Fire on Discovery Channel, and this sword was completely awkward. It's a little hard to tell, but like there was no sharp side for this portion here. There's no like blade. It was just essentially a flat surface. So I've kind of painted this lighter side to kind of indicate that that's the sharpened part. This is all just painted. It's not been sculpted like that. This part here was actually sculpted to be the bladed portion. So I didn't have to paint that in the sense that I did here. And the other awkward thing about this sword is, I don't know what it's called technically, but this part here, like the back the back of the sword was incredibly thin. Like, I've actually gone in and painted it to look like it's thicker than it really is in the sculpt, because like realistic, like the actual model, it's incredibly thin. And realistically speaking, if this blade were to hit something, it would snap, because the back spine, if you want to call it, is just so thin. I'm sure that a lot of people wouldn't have minded that, but it just seemed really awkward to me. So I kind of did some reconstructive surgery just with paint to kind of make it look a little more thicker here and have a bladed part here. So yeah, I actually did a vote on my Instagram. What models should I paint next? And this is what won. So that's why I have this here. I'm going to work on that too. Maybe not today. Maybe not today, but I will work on that eventually. So let's get on with the second coat of paint. I still have some wet paint here, so let's get these guys all lined up. So many of them. And I also should note that I'd like to do a drawing stream at some point. I like to draw all the thumbnails that I have on my YouTube channel, where I post my gaming sessions and other kinds of videos. I like to sort of draw the thumbnails for it. So that means I'd like to do... I'm just shaking this pot here. If it sounds like I'm exerting myself, I'm shaking. Copper, it looks like a scimitar. Good for slicing and pulling. Yeah, I guess that's what it would be, right? Like a scimitar, like a really stylized version. Yeah. Okay, I think that's enough shaking. So I'd like to do a thumbnail for Hades. That's the game that I'm kind of currently playing that does not have a thumbnail yet. But I've been kind of thinking about what I should draw for it. I really don't know what I'd like to draw for Hades. So that's why, yeah, the next time I do a painting session, or rather a drawing session on Twitch, that's probably what I'll do. I've been thinking about something having to do with a pot, because a lot of Greek mythology, a lot of our understanding of Greek mythology and stuff comes from like pottery, because I guess back in the day they loved putting the stories and stuff on pots, and those pots have lasted to this day. So it's a really cool stylized style of art. This Greek pottery, it's really cool. So I was thinking about something like that. At the same time, I have to keep in mind that like whatever idea I come up with, it has to be something that's visible as a freaking thumbnail that someone's going to be looking at on their phone, right? So it can't really be that small and detailed. It kind of has to be noticeable from as a very tiny image. Copper, I think I spent more time on my Hades painting than I've spent in game. It's a very detailed art style. Oh yeah, the one that you did of Cerebus, I saw that. Very cool. Yeah, the style of the art style in Hades is really cool. I really like it. It kind of has its own look to it that's very unique to itself. Okay, so that's the second coat, and I can already tell that it's not super solid. Like, it doesn't look as solid as it could be, and I can see some of the undercoat from the model, from the white primer underneath. So that might mean that we might need to do a third coat, but we'll see. It needs to dry. Third coat. Yeah. Again, if I used an airbrush, that would probably be a whole lot faster. But at the same time, I don't mind. As I said, this is like really relaxing for me, so just slapping paint around, it's fun. So I've been going at it for about an hour now, so whoops, wow, that guy just flew out of my hand. So let's just go on for a little longer until this paint dries, and then I'll take a little break. And after that, we'll carry on. We'll go for a little longer. The other reason I like to paint multiple models, even like, different ones from these guys, at the same time, is that like, if I ever get bored of just doing all these undercoats, these base coats, multiple layers, I can move on to something else. And that's why I have that ballerina anime magic girl pose girl. That's why I have that model. I can go paint that, or I've got some other ones I can do too. But for now, we'll just stick with these guys. Make some progress on them. So these heads are actually separate. There's this gap in between their head and their backpack, and I can tell that I did not paint that area, so I'm trying to get that area now. Very sloppy, but I promise I'll fix it up later. I'll fix it up later. I think there's that YouTube channel like Chill Anime Beats to Study To. I'm pretty sure they have that they allow permission to play their YouTube channel. There's permission to use it and you won't get flagged, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to look into that because that would be pretty sweet. I like that channel. There's other channels like that too. I'm pretty sure Riot is offering the makers of, what is it, Dota, or no, League of Legends. They're offering free access to their library of music or something. Similarly, you won't get flagged. Again, that's all something I need to look into more to see if it's all on the up and up and no one's been betrayed. Top 10 anime betrayals. So yeah, I can see that I'm almost running out of paint here. It's really thin. I've been constantly adding a bit more water to my paint. So it's actually getting really like too thin, I think. It's just a matter of getting it the right consistency and not applying it too thickly, as I mentioned before. But yeah, I can see that I'm missing all sorts of areas here. It's really annoying. Ideally, I should have left the head off and painted the head separately and then glued it all on when I'm done. But I'm the kind of guy that gets really fed up. Not fed up, but I like seeing the whole model completed. So that's why we're doing it this way. Bacon is back. What's up, Bacon? I'm still at it. This is the second coat. The second coat. It seems like a copper. It seems like a lot of people that paint on Twitch, they're not really painting armies. It seems like they paint like one-off figures, like to the best of their ability, kind of like if they were entering like a painting competition or something like that. But right now I'm just painting these guys to get them done. Like, I'm not super interested in getting them up to a really high standard. It's more about just finishing them for me. If you can get to a point where the models at least have a very clean base coat and like a couple of like 1 or 2 levels of shading and highlighting, I think that's fine. And then you could always go back to them and fix them or add more to it if you want to make them look a little nicer. But in the case of that troll that I showed earlier, that's an example of something that I took a lot of time on. I painted it over several sessions to get it to that point. And I wouldn't necessarily paint like a whole army to that level. That's far too time consuming. I have a bunch of little Lord of the Ring goblins, and yeah, I'm just sort of painting them to get them done. Become the army painter. Become the army painter. Tony, you just finished your Death Guard. Whoa, when did you start them? I thought you were just starting them. That's sweet. You just finished them? That's awesome. Do you have a place where you post them online or anything like that? Do you post them on Twitter or Instagram or something? I'd like to check them out. So, yeah, back in my younger days, I used to paint models, and I even was doing it kind of like a part-time job even. People would like, yeah, approach me and like basically hire me to paint their armies. And it was good because I was able to fund my hobby, right? I was able to, take that money and then put it towards buying figures for myself, right? However, eventually it got to a point where it wasn't really fun for me. Like, I kind of lost sight of the fun of the hobby because now it was becoming a job. You guys know what that's like. Sometimes you do something for fun, and then the fun gets completely zapped once it starts feeling like a job. Yeah, so that really kind of sucked the wind out of my sails, and I kind of stopped doing the hobby for a good while because of that. So these days, yeah, I don't really I'm not really trying to pursue painting models as a job. But I might consider selling off models, like painting these as I am now, and then, maybe after some time just selling them off. I might do that. And yeah, again, in my younger days, I actually won a couple of painting competitions too, several, and that was pretty cool. That sort of got me the reputation that I should be hired to paint other people's armies. But yeah, like I said, I kind of got tired.